He's back. The Picasso of pistols, the Baryshnikov of bullets, the Hitchcock of headshots, the Legolas of lead poisoning. It's John Wick.
He's offered $7 million for your life. $7 million is a lot of money, Mr. Wick.
So I guess you have a choice. You want a war? Or do you want to just give me a gun?
Somebody please get this man a gun.
John Wick Chapter 2 brings back Keanu Reeves as the unstoppable force of nature John Wick, who once again has another plot, which is basically an excuse to have him use a bunch of guns and kill a lot of people. The first one was a huge surprise. Is this second shot going to hit its mark or maybe be a misfire? Here's 5 things you might want to know about John Wick Chapter 2. Here's the short answer. If you liked the first John Wick, I think you're going to have a good time here too. Maybe not exactly as good of a movie, but it's got the same basic stuff. Let's start here. This world has such stylized violence. It's incredible. Here's a couple things that I love. Number one, it's not just the shooting people or stabbing people. They make the weapons themselves part of the interest of it. For instance, reloading the guns becomes almost as artistic as shooting the guns, which I find really interesting. I also love that it's not just the violence that's beautiful. This movie is shot in a very gorgeous way. Every frame feels perfectly captured and looks absolutely beautiful on the screen. The other part of it that's back that I really love are the rules of this world. I love the world building here, and I love that we're figuring it out kind of piece by piece. They don't give us all the information. They just kind of let us discover how this world works, how the assassination thing works, how all of it comes together, and I like that that's kind of piece by piece. It's such a full and complete and full of details, kind of fleshed out world that both times I've watched a John Wick movie, I had to go back to the internet and check and make sure it wasn't based on a graphic novel. It just feels like it comes from an already existing universe that has been so fleshed out that they have this material. Truth is, it's an original property. They just do a really good job of making it feel completely fleshed out. And to be honest, those two things, for the most part, are what people want from this movie anyway. But they're done so well that I think it would be easy to miss a couple of really big flaws that this movie has. Number one, I don't think the heart is here in this movie quite as much. There doesn't seem to be as much of a motivation for John Wick to be doing what he's doing here. Now, I'm not saying they needed to bring in another dog and have somebody kill his dog again. That would seem a little weird. I just mean that there needed to be some deeper motivation for him to go through what he's going through. And I think that helps the audience buy into it as well. And because we don't, it makes the resolution a little bit weaker. In fact, it actually doesn't have a resolution in many ways because of that. So I don't want to give anything away other than to say I didn't think his purpose was as clear and powerful in this movie as it was in the first one. The other thing that gives it a little bit of a different feel, and I think is a flaw as well, is this movie is much more about defense than it is about offense. And what I mean when I say that is it's much more exciting for a character like this who kind of feels invincible, or, you know, the way that John Wick does. It's much more fun and compelling to watch him bulldoze his way through to an end rather than to be chased from behind. It's more fun to have him pursuing rather than to be pursued. Now, I think the movie still has, of course, all of the action scenes that still feel frenetic and exciting, and because they do those so well. The problem is the motivation behind the action scenes makes him a different kind of character in this. Now, that's not an all bad thing, but I think it does weaken the movie a little bit for me. And finally, I'll just say this, and let's not put this as a red, let's make it a yellow, more of a warning. If the gun culture of our country bothers you, I think this movie is going to put you off. And I don't just mean the actual gun violence. Obviously, that's something that's going to be here, and you know that. But this movie really worships the guns, the way the camera lingers on them, the way they talk about specific kinds of guns and how they work and how he uses his weapons. Not just guns, knives as well. There's a worshiping of the guns that I think is both compelling and also discomforting, and could feel a little bit icky to you if that's an issue for you. Overall, though, I feel like John Wick Chapter 2 does exactly what the audience it's intended for wants it to do. Amazing action, amazing choreography, incredible violence, stylized violence, and brings us John Wick back the way we knew him in the first movie. Overall, for me, the negatives were enough to bring it down to a B-. Thanks for checking out this Your Movie Friend review. We'll get to the Best Ever Challenge here in a bit. Before we do, though, if you'd like to connect further, I would love that. Hit me up on Twitter, Aaron Dicer, AARONDICER. We can connect there. You can also subscribe to the podcast. It's called SiftPop, SiftPop. Would love to have you there as well. And of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Nice little community building here. We're having a great time talking movies. I'm very committed to carrying on that conversation with anybody who wants to talk about these movies. It's not just a one and done thing for me. I love the back and forth, so hit me up there. All right, on to the Best Ever Challenge, where you name the best movie ever in a particular category and also try to identify my choice. Let's go with Best Ever Keanu Reeves movie. This is an easy one. Color green, falling numbers, blah, blah, blah. You already knew it before I even gave a clue. First person to get it right in the comments does get a point. And as always, here's 5 extra seconds to hit subscribe. Just click the logo right down in this corner.